Welcome back to Tuesday Tutorials. Last time we showed how you can create this dripping lava effect. This time we're going to be creating the superhero shot, which has a bit of a Spider-Man Mysterio vibe. First off, we'll get the character animated, and to do this, we use the site mixamo.com, which allows you to use a selection of 3D model characters or upload your own and apply animations to them. We're going to be uploading a model we kit bashed using the body of a Mixamo character and this sci-fi helmet from Turbo Squid, but you can choose from a selection of free character models here. Once you choose your character or upload your own, go through Mixamo's rigging process. Once it's rigged and ready, we'll choose an animation. We want a superhero type jump. There are so many animations to choose from, so it's best to look through till you find something similar to what you have in mind. For us, we chose the animation of this flying knee punch combo. You can also alter some of the parameters like overdrive, which controls speed and arm space, but once you're happy with it, you can download it as an FBX file at the frame rate that you want. In Blender, we're going to open up the FBX file, and if you can't see anything, press S on your keyboard and move your mouse to scale up the character, then click off to finish scaling. You can see that the animation is working fine as we play through. We're going to dial the end frame in Blender to match the time of the last keyframe. We're going to export as a wavefront OBJ and check animation so that it exports multiple frames. It's best to create a new folder for these as there can be hundreds of files depending on the length of your animation. Then export. Now over in After Effects, in a new comp, create a solid, then apply Element 3D. Go to your Import 3D sequence and select the first OBJ of the ones you exported from Blender and import. Check normalize size to make it bigger if needed. You can scrub through the frames to see that the full animation has been imported. Now apply any texture or materials to the model that you're using, and you can also change the environment map to create more interesting reflections. Now back in After Effects, we'll create a camera and frame up how we visualize the shot and keyframe the camera to pan up with the character as they jump. Under render settings, enable ambient occlusion and increase the intensity. For lighting, we're first going to add a white light to the side to help edge light the character, then add one on the other side as well. Adding in a few green tinted lights throughout the scene is going to help us tie the shot together once we add in that green smoke, as this looks like light reactions on the character. We decided to keyframe these green lights to fade on, and under render settings, you can also change the rotation of the environment map to add further details and make the character pop. While Element does support motion blur, it doesn't work with animated OBJ sequences, so we're going to use a really great plugin called Real Smart Motion Blur to add motion blur to the character, and you can control or keyframe the strength until you land on something you like. Once we're happy with our character, we're going to trim the comp if needed and render it out with alpha so that we can speed up our workflow. We're going to drop the render into a new comp and copy paste the camera from the element comp. We created this background by comping together these two free stock photos from unsplash.com. So drop in the background of your choice and make it a 3D layer. Scale and reposition for your comp, and if your camera is animated to move, make sure that your background always fills the frame. Since we want the character to be the main focus, we're going to use a curves effect to darken the background and tint to lower the saturation just a bit, then a camera lens blur to slightly knock it out of focus. For the smoke, we're going to be using our smoke pack, which is available on our store right now, which includes these cool smoke cloud looking assets, but you don't need to use ours. You can go for any assets that you have or that you think will work better for your shot, but if you do want ours, you can find a link for that in the notes below. We're going to start by dropping in Smoke 6 into the comp and change the speed, then shift it in the timeline to work with our shot. Then we're going to tweak the scale and position, apply Unmold to key out the black, then apply a tint effect and turn the white color into the color of your choice. For our shot, we are going with a dark teal. Now use a curves effect and boost the alpha to make the smoke more opaque, and to bring out some detail, we're going to use CC Light Sweep. This effect can act similar to a bevel emboss by adding highlights to the alpha edges for a certain direction, so you can control light position, direction, width, and so on. When you make sweep intensity 0, boost the edge intensity and thickness, and you can see the detail it can create. So for this asset, we're going to boost the width and move the direction to cover the full area of the smoke, then make the edge intensity subtle with max thickness. It can also look more natural to change the highlight color to a brighter version of your base color, which again for us is green. Also, the curves alpha level controls the level of detail and edges that you get from the light sweep effect. So play around with the alpha curves to see what you can get from the asset that you use. Now to add further detail back in, we're going to apply a fractal noise effect, set the blending mode to overlay, and lower opacity. For our asset, we will increase the scale, then keyframe the offset and evolution to simulate movement as the smoke falls. Lastly, we're going to use another curves effect to lower the red channel and boost the green in the shadows. We chose to have this asset behind our character layer, then used a variety of our smoke assets with the same effect built up above and below the character until it looked like they were flying up through a smoke cloud. We then used some of our dust assets to fill in these areas and add more detail to the effects. We set all the layers to screen and adjusted the brightness and color slightly, then lowered opacity. For the final touches, we're going to create an adjustment layer and add Red Giant's optical glow effect, tweaking the settings until only certain areas have a nice bloom of glow. Then for grade, we're going to use curves effect and apply a LUT. We went for the Annihilation LUT from our Cinematic LUTs V3 pack, and we used the curves effect above to boost the dark areas. Then another curves after the LUT to pop the brightness a bit more. Then we added Red Giant's Universe Camera Shake to add a subtle handheld motion, and finally, Chromatic Aberration around the sides of the frame. And obviously you can change the color to any color of your choice. Just make sure to also change the light color on your character as well as possibly changing the background to give it a different vibe for your shot. But that's it for today. Again, links to everything that we used in this episode can be found in the notes below. And if you did dig this episode, consider subscribing. If you haven't, hit the bell icon so you can be notified when we put up new stuff. And until next time, don't forget to write, shoot, edit, repeat.